Three. We're live, Mr. Chairman. Are you, sir?
Good night. Good night. Good night to our Belizean public, both at home and abroad. Welcome to our Belizean Affairs show, number 455. 455. And it's always a pleasure to sit in the company of Mr. Leonard Brackett.
The pleasure is
The
also mine, sir.
Yes, sir. He is the pusher on our program. So I got to stay in line, or if not, I'll be fired without
Uh-oh.
pay.
No, that's not true. That's not true, Mr. That's not true, Mr. Chairman. We're on this program we're on equal terms. That is not true.
Just a
You make
little.
them people feel
Yes,
like I got more power than I got, and that I don't think that's correct. But
yes,
anyhow,
just a little
oh, and I
something
got
to
one.
laugh about.
Before
Mhm.
you proceed, I got one of those. I told you so for tonight. Okay, so
Ah,
uh,
all
I,
right,
I, I, I,
all right.
I'm getting so bold now to the point that I'm in preempting. But
Okay,
are you back, sir?
thank you,
Sorry
thank
about
you.
that.
We should be joined by Mr. Gregory Brackett, also our morning night uh, host. Also by Mr. Gregory Morrison. Leonard, if he gets to his location in time, he will brace us. We always welcome him. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can I be
Yes, sir.
insolent? Can I be insolent again, sir, and
Yes, sir.
do one of my regular habits? That is to cut in on you.
Yes, sir.
Um, I'd just like to say that Belizeans, those of those who know of us, should be grateful, and those who don't know, who are not anymore the wiser, should be grateful for all participating on this particular program and what we bring to them and afford to the country. Because as of today's date, 455 programs. I can tell them from the bottom of my heart, as well as from the pocket of my dedication and the dedication of yourself and all the other people who have graced our program, that we have served them well. And that is part of what I'm going to say tonight when I talk about that. I told you so when we get
Yes,
there,
sir.
because we haven't gotten there. I'm just taking permission to step on your toe to just give them a little anticipation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yes,
much again,
sir.
Mr. Chairman. God bless you.
Welcome, sir. And as always, Leonard, we before we get into a program, we always start our program with a prayer, followed by
Yes,
a
sir.
reading, Leonard, and we don't want to swear from that format, Leonard. So graciously ask you to please lead us in a prayer again tonight, sir. Thank you.
I'll just bow my head, Mr. Chairman, and proceed. Divine, loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, as well as our own creators, into thy hands we commend ourselves once more, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to you, first and foremost, for the privilege of life that you have granted us,
Amen.
and secondly, the opportunity to still be alive today among our family members, friends, and loved ones.
Amen.
Pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, and that thou would bless this country, its people and leadership as well.
Amen.
Pray that thou mayest continue to bless the rest of humanity, those who are in areas of wars and those who are in earthquake and tornadoes and volcanoes and hurricanes and all manner of disaster and pestilence on the face of this earth, including those that are man-made. We pray that thou mayest bless those people who have need of food and clothes and shelter, that thou would provide for them, and that whatever we have to say or contribute tonight on our particular program, loving Father, we pray that thou mayest allow us or afford us the opportunity to present something that is worthy of thy greater cause, as well as to meet the needs of our Belizeans at home and abroad and others. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Now you back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard, for the word and prayer. As
You're welcome, sir.
always, country needs it and the world needs it.
Amen.
And like I always say, Leonard, we are not preachers or pastors or bishops or whatever they call these people that stands in the culprit every on a some on a daily basis. But we are not that uh, kind of people, but we serve one God, right, Leonard? And
Amen.
we give thanks and praise to the Almighty because tomorrow is promised to no one. You know that you in this world we have different denomination, different you know
Yes, sir.
believers, and they believe in different ways, and that's their own prerogative. You cannot fault someone for the God that he served. You
Amen.
know, so we are not all alike. So um, on that note, like I say, we serve one God as far as I know, you and myself, and we give thanks and praise to Him.
Amen.
Leonard, before we get into again a prayer, I go to Proverbs, a reading from chapter 23, 1 to 10, Leonard, and it reads. I think Proverbs is your favorite chapter too, right, Leonard? I think that's what you had mentioned a while ago.
I
I
have
am
a
forget.
I have a couple dozen books that are written
You see,
from the
you
inspiration
see.
of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Solomon.
Wow.
So
See.
I'm very grateful when I get to hear any reading from those
Oh
particular three
man.
books.
Yes,
It
sir.
tickles it tickles my fancy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it reads, "When you sit down to eat
Hmm.
with a ruler, not a ruler, the measuring thing. I mean somebody in authority, right?
Yes,
When you
sir.
sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you,
Amen.
and put a knife to your throat. If you are given to appetite, you could figure that one out, right? Do not desire his delicacy, for they are deceptive food. Well, means tricky food, pretty
Pre-
much, right?
Prepared by experts with all kind of
Prepared by expert.
mixtures and all kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone. For suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle towards heaven. Do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy. Do not desire his delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculating. Eat and drink, he says to you. But
Hmm.
this, but his heart is not with you.
Hmm.
You will vomit up the morsels that you have eaten, and waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. That's my reading, Leonard, from your favorite book, Proverbs.
Cautionary reading, Mr. Chairman. Cautionary reading, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well worth the advice and heeding to them.
Thank you, sir.
Those who heed such advice will enjoy the privilege of living long. Those who fail to heed those type of advice will meet their demise preemptively or earlier than they need to.
Yes, sir. So true. Leonard, again, we want to remind our people June to November, we see disasters around the world.
Hmm.
We are already experiencing flooding in the nation. Leonard.
Hmm.
Strange things are happening in the nation, Leonard. Right. So, through our medium, we want to inform our people again, Leonard, that to be ready, prepare yourself, take heed, don't wait for the authorities because we have seen for decades what happened and we see where their priority is at. So be mindful and take heed. Prepare yourself. Start preparing yourself June to November. Secure your loved ones, your property, the best possible way because in time of disaster, most of the Belizean people are left alone with no help. And why? I say because of your political affiliation. That's how I see that. Which is a shame, but it happens. But
Hmm.
if you ask them, they will say that's not so, not true. Um, we just always caution our people, right? And we are advocate for our people, right? We,
Sir.
you know, and that's one thing I know they cannot take away from you nor myself. In whichever way they try to swing it or say where our interest is. No, we say it plain and blank where our interest is. Our interest is about people and nation. Period. Those who want to believe that, that's fine. Those who do not want to believe that, that's their prerogative, right? Um, it's a shame to see a repetitious cycle of the behavior of our leaders. And when they are caught, Leonard, they go to the extent to even want to take the one that catches them to
Or,
task.
or expose them.
Yes, sir. So, Leonard, the latest smear from this leading People's United Party government, who the people have gave a supermajority mandate
Hmm.
to serve and protect them. You see the Mira saga getting stink and stinker, but yet they says that there's nothing wrong, all is well. And
There's
as
a
for me,
Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead. Yes,
We're just at the beginning of that process, so there's a lot more to be had and a lot more to be known about the
yes, sir.
Mira issue. But then again, I'll stop this
We'll
track
talk about it,
because
Leonard.
I
Yes,
know you're
sir.
heading into some other part of it. So let me just yield
Yes,
and
sir.
tell you
So,
about some.
not too long ago, Leonard, the man Florencio Marin Jr.
Hmm.
I understand he was in the BDF too, and I don't know if he was in a voluntary service I haven't met him in the regular service. So, in my time, so but that's what I understand, right? And for these guys. between him and Mira to be behaving in that manner, in that calculative, deceptive manner, when they should be the one who should be protecting, right? And know what the needs of the police and the BDF and security forces. At least that's what I would say. Any rational thinking person would say, man, these guys here were part of the system. So they should act right and do right by the men and women who they should be serving and looking out for. But what we see now in the news, a bunch of corruption, hardcore corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And it involves the taxpayers' money that should be for the security forces, whether by food, whether by movement, whether by uniform, whether by whatever, whether by some medication, whatever, right? So I am deeply upset as a farmer, uh, member of the police force and the BDF, and I know the problems Leonard some of these soldiers and policemen goes through,
Yes, sir.
right? And to see the little handshake that the the Mira guy got, the Marine guy got, because you have conflicting report. Oh yeah, he had asked to go on leave, and cabinet members say no, they discuss and they demand that he goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could care less either way. I think that he should have been sent home without pay. That's how I feel. That's between him and the Mira guy. He should give up all items that was given to him to carry out these duties. Leonard, he should return them, both of
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
to the one that is acting. But no, I understand, and I see posts that the Mira guy riding around with the same with this vehicle and no license plate too, And you hear what Johnny Briseño says about the government vehicles. Came from his own mouth. Which
Mm-hmm.
one of his mouth I don't know. Can't say. But he's still around enjoying, and that's what gets me. So why didn't he stay and sit down in the seat? Right? Why? But anyway, I just say how I feel as a taxpayer and as a born Belizean. I didn't swim the river to get over here or fall from the sky. I was born right in the country of Belize.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have a God-given right to speak how I feel about these people. And it's very disturbing to see the things that is happening, right? And the way these guys are operating. Very disturbing. Let's talk a little on that, Leonard, on this before we go into the other ones that I want to talk about.
Before I get into the conversation proper on these matters or my contribution in regards to these particular matters, I'd like to go back to the original statement that I made earlier in the program. That is to say, at some point in the program, I would have liked to say, I told you so. This is particularly Pure may recall, and others may recall, those who have been paying attention to our program specifically, would recall not too long ago, I predicted that at the end of that last cabinet shuffling that they had, there will be another shuffling of the cabinet before that term was finished.
Rightfully
And I
so.
and I stipulated that vehemently, strongly, specifically. And as a matter of fact, I think it was one program after that particular declaration that I made. I went on to say, you know what? What I said the last time about this particular issue about having a change of cabinet within the next, within this particular session, which was at that time probably about 4 years and a little bit more to go. Because they had just been um, uh, redone. I went on to say, I'm not only going to say that cabinet will be changing within this period that is currently underway, but that the cabinet will likely change before the year was up.
You sure did said that,
And I,
Leonard.
and I think a lot of people really just thought I was getting mad, or I was just trying to be funny, or maybe I was just trying to gain some attention by stipulating those kind of what would have seemed back then outrageous speculations and stipulations. But as usual, most 98% of what we have said and discussed on this particular platform have been prescient and have come to pass. Why? They don't have to take my word currently for it. They can go back on 455 programs, dissect any of those programs, and they will be able to come up with the predictions and some of these things ahead of time that we had spoken to.
Shoot. Shoot.
So therefore, tonight, I'm going to say again, as I said I wanted to say, and I'm going to say it with nobody have to pat me on the back. I told you so. Cabinet would have been changing not only within the same period, but within this year itself. Because it was earlier this year, not long ago, when I made that prediction. And I'm going to go on the extreme edge of that prediction now to superimpose on top of that past prediction a more up-to-date prediction as to say we haven't seen the end of the changes in cabinet yet. Because more likely than not, based on my most current prescient perspective of what is going on, what we are seeing is just previews of coming attraction. And I can safely say that within the end of this year, before the end of this year, cabinet will change again. We just saw it being changed by Mr. Mira being put in the position to be Minister of Home Affairs. And he had to be dispossessed of that position and turn that position over, as the Prime Minister did, and then burden Mr. Julius Espet, who had a major couple of ministries under his wings already, and for him to have to take over now this other major portfolio. And right out the gate, Mr. Espet appeared to have been the person who should have been given the privilege to run that department in the first instance, because it appears that he's more sensitized based on his own personal experience and the pressures that he had been under in previous government position, to say that his type of temperament would have served this present government well had he been in those ministry. Because it seemed like he had better sense and more honesty and forthrightness when it comes to dealing with the public affairs. He's been given the assignment for 3 months while Mr. Mira goes on leave, which, as far as I'm concerned, as I said previously, they should have been put in jail. Not just sent on leave and with pay. They're not supposed to be receiving any pay because they're on leave for having committed crimes under the color of law. And those crimes were committed wantonly. They weren't excusable crimes of mistakes or errors of omission or oversight. They were outright conniving, calculating, and devious crimes. Now that they are being found out, everybody wants to wash their hands. The Prime Minister is trying to wash his hands when it is within his department as well as Minister of Finance that these shenanigans are going on. The Secretary of the Financial Secretary, whose responsibility is to make sure that these payments are paid out adequately, correctly, and that the finances of the government from the consolidated funds are not pilfered or stolen, and that these contracts are bona fide contracts that he is making or allowing payments to be made on. He comes out here now and tries to exculpate himself by declaring that, well, it seemed like some hanky-panky was going on, but that they will try to get to the bottom of it. Mr. Marine now, having been the substantive Minister of Defense, under who Mr. Mira was working as a Minister of State, is now asking that he be relieved. Well, at least that's what they're telling the public, that he asked to be relieved of his position for a few months so he can go on leave while this matter is investigated. It is my understanding that through the discussions in Cabinet, it was brought to his attention that more likely than not, he should have stepped aside as well. But the Prime Minister doesn't want the public to know it. What's going on has been the way it actually is, because he have egg on his face. He's going out there and exculpating these guys and saying that he has seen them done no wrong. It means then that he's collecting a salary for Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and not adequately doing his job, because it is his responsibility where the buck stops for him to have managed his the Ministry of Finance in such a way that those kind of hanky-panky shouldn't be going on. He comes out and tells us, well, he doesn't know what's going on. It is the civil service employees then. I'm sorry, we have two people in the background. I think Greg is going to bring himself on, so I'm going to
try. You could bring in Mr. Morrison.
Yes, adjust the. Oops.
Your last.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then Greg is in the background. He's come on.
Greg, yeah. Okay, all right. Leonard, let's
Yes, sir.
Let's
Please,
welcome,
Mr. Chairman.
yes,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
yes,
sir.
let's welcome Mr. Gregory Morrison and Mr. Gregory Brackett, our senior panelists. Good night, sir.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, sir.
Mr. Morrison, you wanna go?
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Good night
sir.
and welcome to you, gentlemen. Thanks for gracing us with your presence.
You wanna
I
introduce
just wanted to
yourself
say,
there, Mr. Morrison?
Mr. Chairman, can I quickly just close out the thought that I was.
Yes, sir. Quickly, yeah. Quickly.
So we can bring the other gentlemen in and
Yes,
let
sir.
them self-identify as well as contribute their part to what we were discussing now. Let me close out. I was stipulating, Greg and Mr. Morrison, to the chairman, that those individuals who listen to our program and who are aware of what we have to offer and have been offering would recall that I put out a challenge.
Put your mic there a little bit there, Greg, please.
Not too long ago.
Just a little feedback.
Not too long ago, where I stipulated that before the term was up, Cabinet would have been changing again. We have seen that happen in the case of Mr. Mira.
Greg, you want to mute your mic a little bit there?
We have seen that happen in the case of Mr. Mira, and we're seeing it happen now in the case of Mr. Marine. That is that Cabinet is getting reshuffled again, or will be reshuffled, in the interest of dealing with some of the hanky-panky that's going on. I'm now updating that prediction more forcefully so to say that before this year is up, we're going to have additional changes of Cabinet. And I have no doubts as to my reason why I stipulate that. But I'm just trying to remind you guys that I said, I told you so. And we'll get back into it more further later on. Are you back, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
Mr. Morrison, and I know Greg, know what we've been talking about. But Mr. Morrison, we were talking about the latest revelation. We started with the mirror episode, then it boils down to Mr. Marin episode. Now, in terms of we don't know if he was asked to move away for 3 months, or he was forced, or it was voluntary. You have conflicting report, right, on that one. So I want you to, Greg, I want you to, go on that one, Greg.
Yes, yes.
The
Uh,
self identification
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah,
new panelists, if you don't mind.
yeah. Good evening once again. I'm Gregory Morrison. I'm out here in California, what we consider the diaspora. I I often take a bit aback to that because I don't see my role as diaspora. I see my role as a Belizean. I just live
Exactly.
in live in the United States.
Mr.
Um,
Mr. Greg Brackett, could you do your thing for us, sir, if you don't mind? Before we move on, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, pass it over to Greg here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say good night to you people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning into this 455th edition of Belizean Affairs. Gentlemen, it has always been a pleasure sitting with you guys virtually. Tonight is no different because we are always on this show trying to educate our Belizean people and keeping them informed on what is happening. But I want to stipulate this as a good financial mindset. You don't look good. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Morrison, go have the floor, sir. Then I
thank you
go
very much.
back to Greg.
You know, the problem we have is that this consistency we've seen where the prime minister is constantly excusing his ministers. I remember we had the issue with the minister in San Pedro. Then we have
Mm-hmm.
the one with Mira. Now we have this again coming up. It is showing that there is a great level of contempt and abuse that's going on within our government and the system that is supposed to ensure the welfare of our people. You know that what we are seeing is lot lots of thievery going on in every corner. We know that this corruption is in every facet of our governance. We have seen it in the immigration department where employees are able to set up scheme where they take money and cancel documents and pocket the money. How all this stuff could happen and into the tune of $500,000 in that instance, where we could have these ministers and these financial officers and the department approve contracts that is contrary to how the structure of our system should be making out these payments, where items are put out for tender, but not really put out for tender because they offer them and purchase them in small lots that bypass all the legal requirements and all the oversight requirements that's required under these contracts. And then we have the situation where top leadership in the government sets up themselves to pass sales of BTL and other large, not sales of BTL, but have BTL purchase um, uh, the other companies, Smart and the others. And all these are contrary to our laws.
We have the
And
Prime Minister, Mr.
then we,
Morrison. We have the Prime Minister also going to the House and asking for money to buy shares
yeah,
of
well,
the
that
BEL.
one is not, that
Yeah.
one is not stealing at this point. I'm talking about where there's blatant view of something going on wrong. And what I'm thinking is that they complain when the guy at the custom takes money and set up a scheme that allows that his stake is even more than the government share of the revenue that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And they complain when the guy at the immigration office takes a little money to put your processing your document ahead of the others that's been sitting there. But people will steal at the level they can. So the guy, all he has at the immigration, all he has access to is to move your name up so that you get processed quickly. The guy that's at the Defense Department purchasing office, he has all he's doing is approving these documents at a amount less than the 10,000 that causes the review. But then we have the people at the very top that's doing deals that result in millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. They're setting the example, and then they want to penalize and make sacrifice of the person that's getting $200 or getting $500. That leads to $500,000. But still they are there pocketing millions of dollars. The minister is, the prime minister is, all these are signs of a system that's not functioning as it should. And we as the people need to take arrest of this, and we need to make sure that our government is structured in a way that provides transparency and accountability. And that is the only way we are going to sort of be able to reap these things out and consistently and structurally build manners into it that would make sure that these things will not happen as often, as consistently, and drag out for as long as it has in the past that denies the country of so much necessary revenue. So with that, I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Morrison. Greg, well said there, Mr. Morrison.
thank
Well
you,
said.
Mr. Chairman. Before I pass my comments, I want to play this tape to you, the people at home and abroad.
It appears from what we see that there was a deliberate effort to fragment payments, break them down to below. But I'll wait to see what the audit reveals. But sure enough, certainly it doesn't look good. And in my view, I think what happened is that either somebody dropped a ball, fell asleep, or worse, that they moved together on it.
I want to say this to you, the people at home and abroad, and to you, gentlemen.
Mr. Brackett, for the general public that may not know who that person was, can we identify him or can I identify him?
That is the financial secretary, Mr. Waite.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Greg.
I want to say this. For him to come out and say that, it surely does not look good. And I will tell you why. Laws were made to keep us in check from breaking rules. When the government came out with a law to prevent non-profit organizations from obtaining money that they do not know about, which to me was unconstitutional because they themselves are getting campaign finances and there is no law.
Mm-hmm.
But they went after the NPO businesses and they got the FIU involved.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys recall how I mentioned the unexplained wealth law that was passed? How then is it that the FIU is not looking at these ministers that is serving in our present government? How is it that the FIU is not going after them? And it's not hard to see who is building big houses, who is driving fancy vehicles, and who is traveling. It is not hard to see that. So the question is, why is our present government making laws to keep the underprivileged in bondage,
Mm-hmm.
but refuse to go after the upstairs personnel who is protected by executive overreach? That is what needs to be spoken about. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Well said there, Greg. Leonard, I want to get your input on, based on this latest swarm of discovery of, corruption. And there, like you say, it does not end here. Worse is yet to come. Don't you
Very much
think
so,
that
sir.
they should put a pause now on all our government ministry should be under an audit? What do you say about that, Leonard?
You, you, you don't say it, sir.
No,
I don't
you
want. I
could
don't want to
you could
underline it.
have conflicting. I mean, I'm just saying that, you could have a different opinion, right? So
Mr.
I, I
Chairman, if I may 1 second first,
yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
we have spoken about that here in Belizean affair. I have went all the way as far as I can when this present government refused to hire a auditor general. We spoke about it. So now this is what we are getting because there was no auditor general in place, and this is what we are getting because now they can run wild. There's no ombudsman to intervene into what is
Wow,
happening.
wow, wow.
I go back to you, sir.
Thank you, Leonard. Go
So
ahead,
it's not.
Leonard.
So it's not by error, omission, or oversight. This is by design. Why we don't have UNCAC in place, but we still have laws in the country that prohibit self-enrichment, that the Constitution speaks to, and that the procedures of the different departmental management in terms of the financial and auditing um, act is concerned. And we also have the new entity of the financial, the FIU. Where is the FIU in regards to these investigations and these financial crimes? It appears to me that the FIU was only intended and or is only being used for political mischief making. I recall they got involved quickly with the beer company to the point of him going there to pretend to want to go and investigate the labor situation in that company. But they were there on hand to collect the people their money, which was a preemptive strike on trying to break the company's back by not having the company being able to use their funding to continue their business operation, which they should not have done. And we have to turn around and end up paying for. I'm talking about the FIU. In the first place, the unit, the way it was constructed when they voted in the House for it, was anti-constitutional. They were overreaching and they were giving themselves powers that did not belong to them by making a law that violates the Constitution and that is contrary to what the Constitution requires, which is why we lost the case. They knew that that was going to happen from before. Right now, the Prime Minister is aware of the fact that the law that they made, he wants to go now and change one of the laws that they made because the law does not allow them to do what they're trying to do or to exculpate them the way they want to be exculpated now.
That's the
He has
cyberbullying law.
no, not the cyberbullying. Um,
Oh,
the Prime Minister says that he spoke to the Attorney General in regards to this Mira issue.
yeah, that's the cyberbullying law that they're talking about.
Not the cyberbullying law. That's not what they were talking about. He spoke about this issue and that there will have to be some changes, and therefore, in the next sitting, they're going to go to the House and make those necessary changes. Okay? These
Which
people,
law then were they? Which law
wait.
then were they speaking about? No, because I from what I from his
Sir,
conversation.
let's not
No,
argue. Let's not argue
no, I'm
about
not
your
arguing
question.
it. I'm
Your
asking you
question
the
is
question.
valid, Mr. Morrison. Let's not argue about your
Which
question. So your
which one
question
of the law
has
was
its
that,
own validity.
Leonard? You
That's
wanna-
what I'm talking about right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about the issue of Mr. Mira and his colleagues and other people getting involved in the financial hustling of the treasury. Okay, the what Mr. Morrison was speaking about the cyberbullying law relates to the issue of why is it that they went after Mr. August on the basis of the bullying. That is not what we're talking about currently. We're talking about what came afterwards, what that precipitated something that came afterwards, which is the exposure of all this financial hanky-panky going on.
Mr. Brackett, I think you are talking about that law they want to come with the holographic test and all that, that they want to have ministers and anybody working in government take the test before they put them in any position.
Uh, I will not dispute the point. I'll consider it to be an equal point of order as regards to what Mr. Morrison was saying. They are both valid point of order in terms of the overall discussion, but not on the point that I was trying to bring across just now. That is to say, from the Prime Minister's own mouth, he's saying that they want to go to the House and update this particular rule that relates to the financial, the way the finances are run and controlled and managed in the because Mr. Waite was speaking to it as well when he was saying that he is going to wait until after the auditing is done for him to actually answer the questions that were being asked of him. I'm saying the laws that were made, they were contrary to good governance. They were anti-constitutional in the way they were structured. And I was saying that even the FIU laws that were not made in such a way that they could stand the scrutiny of a real judicial review. And we are having problems with these guys going to the House, making laws and wanting to amend some of the same laws to try and make it better, but they're not doing it the way it's supposed to be done. They're doing it the way they want it to be done. And they think that whatever comes out of their head and whatever they vote on with their supermajority, that should be the law of the land. When the Constitution is being violated, is my point. They should be able to make laws that don't violate the Constitution and that stands the scrutiny of the judiciary process. They make people get hurt with these laws that they make honestly, and then people have to go and fight the government to get vindicated. They should not be putting the population or anybody in the country under those kind of duress. They use, for example, even the laws of the SOE to commit crimes under the cholera law. Right now, they're talking about, okay, well, they made another move the other day, a couple of days ago, to do what they call an SOS, okay, strategic operation. I don't know what the acronym is, but basically what they did is they used the same police officers then to go and create mayhem in the communities as if they were still exercising the bogus SOE that has already expired. And now they're using a different term for the same behavior. It is illegal. It is unlawful. And there's need to
True.
stop making these bastardized effort.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Thank you, Leonard. Mr. Morrison.
Mr.
Next.
Chairman, if I can say this
Wait.
quick in
Yeah, go
response
ahead.
to
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
cousin,
Go ahead.
it was not too long ago when they made the NPO bill and they claimed it was to protect against terrorism,
Hmm.
and they turned around and violated the
Yeah.
same law
The same
when they brought in a
kidnap.
terrorist.
Yeah. Listen.
So we need to put that out there
Yeah.
because
Yes.
this is how they do it.
Yeah. Um, rightfully
Uh,
says that. That's true, Greg. Mr.
Mr.
Morrison.
Morrison had a question that he was asking
Mr.
earlier.
Morrison.
Maybe you can contribute.
What do you think, Mr. Morrison? If you lately 4 or 5 of these ministers already are saying that what we think that this 10 we're within the same um um corruption within the $10,000 double receipt. So they are trying to justify that. No, they say when what their ministries are getting bigger, and they need to up that threshold that you know um they only can justify $10,000. They need the one from the key, the Perez guy said no, 15 or 20,000. He said that's what he would like to see, in his ministry, so he could outrightly disperse 15 or 20,000 dollars. What do you think about that, Mr. Morrison? And then it's not
Well,
only him.
the easy,
Quite a few of them are saying that.
yeah, the easy answer to that is that just more money will be going under the radar. You know?
No, but that's
Um,
Mr. Morrison. And guys, that's to show you how these guys are thinking.
yeah. No,
You know?
yeah. The problem we have is transparency. The issue is that this type of process of purchasing and acquisition should be limited to specific little things. My roof in one of the places sprung a leak during the rain. It shouldn't be for continuous acquisition that's needed. It shouldn't be for food that they know the defense force will need continuously. That needs to be put out to proper tender, and then they have a lineup of companies that they source from, right? That's how that needs to be done. They will get $1 million contract for 6 months or for a year, or $2 million contract, lump sum that they will provide food. And then from these different sources, because not everybody will have everything at the same time, they'll call around and say, do you have fish? Do you have meat? Do you have, and whichever of these sources have it at that time available, then they could make that purchase from them. That is how you have an open contract that you could properly execute, monitor, and make sure and then also you need proper store accounting to make sure that the product that is being requisitioned and purchased is
Is
received
received.
and in the
Hmm.
quality that it needs to be, that meets the standard, so that then the contract can be paid upon. And then you would bill for whatever amount you had, not breaking it up. If you're sending $10,000 or $20,000 worth of food this week, then you bill for that and you get your payment in that manner, and there's full disclosure in that. What we have seen, let me just finish up, and then I'll be
Yes, sir.
done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What we have seen is that these type of criminal activity on the part of our government in the way they're processing these contracts, it is causing the violence we see in the street, and we cannot remove ourselves from understanding the relationship between not having funding to take care of the necessary anti-crime type measures and education and all the other different employment vehicles that could be put in place, and training that could be put in place, that takes gives young people an option and takes them off the street, and the violence we start seeing in the society. So these actions are not they're not excusing the violence. In fact, they are the cause of some of the violence we see in our daily lives as we go about. So I think we need to make sure that governments that we start holding our government accountable and start translating how these actions are affecting our society up and down the scale.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Well
the
said.
sa-
Oh,
the
go
salient
ahead.
the salient point that needs to be kept in mind as we're having this discussion is that what the financial secretary, Mr. Waite, stipulated is that,
Let's you drag that one out.
to
Wait.
be clear, to make it clear, yeah, uh, is that it appears to him he's saying, not that he's aware of, because he should have been aware of. It's his job to be aware of that, those
One
particulars,
would say,
first and foremost. But let me not uh, get too sticky. The point that we need to be aware of and keep in mind as we're having this discussion on, as I mentioned earlier, is that it's not the issue of whether or not Mr. Perez wants the number to be a higher number, or that whether the number is too low. Those are not the factors, because the low number of under 10,000 is so that they can disperse without an overview or a review. Above the 10,000 is when it triggers additional overview. Okay, so they could go to 50,000. So long as there is no overview, they can continue doing the very same shenanigan now. And like Mr. Morrison said, it's just going to be bigger money that's going to be played with.
exactly,
That is not.
exactly,
They're violating the rules, and they want to be able to violate the rules, which is the problem.
exactly, exactly.
Because there shouldn't be any problem in somebody else being able to look over their shoulder if what they're doing is genuine and legit. That is to say, if the money is being paid for the correct amount of service and we are getting value for our money, they could just go ahead and order for, let's say, 20,000. If the threshold is 10,000, they can still go ahead and order for the 20,000. Nobody's stopping them currently from ordering for more than the 10,000. They just want that 10,000 as something that nobody looks over their shoulder and reviews them on, so that they can get away with their hanky panky. They
Amen.
order for these things, they probably get less than what they order for, and the quality of which what they're ordering for, they're getting probably something that is value less than what they deliver, and in so many different ways, the government coffers is being creamed because these people are getting kicked back. It's not so much only the amount of money that is going to one private individual or to the mirrors, for example. What happens is that the mirrors, with the control and influence that they had within the department, captured all those things that used to be provided by other providers. They captured the whole industry for themselves.
Yep.
And other people are left out there not having a way to, supply like they used to supply before, because they don't have the inside influence. They're not given the contract, even if they could sell it for cheaper.
Yep.
So what you're looking at is skullduggery. Okay? Anybody could be able to sell to the government or to any ministry or whatever, and at any amount or at any price. There shouldn't be a problem. They should be paid just as well when the money is. When the bill is submitted. But if it's being submitted in such a way, 1,000 different receipts and more, because right now we're finding out that what Jules put out there on them in terms of the investigation documents is only small snippets of the whole overall process for all the different government departments and all the multiple entities that provide services and goods to the government. Are we to believe that this is what we have found out about this particular instance with this particular department and this particular group of individuals, and then all the others have no problems, but none of them have figured out how to scram this process? Only these people have been able to do so? I don't think so.
Yes.
Are you back,
Greg,
Mr. Chairman?
yes, Greg. Greg. Lately, since this Mira saga, and they link his brother to the chairman of Recondev. The Prime Minister came out with a whip, and oh yeah, he will disband that area of responsibility from Mira and appoint a new board. And up to this day, he hasn't done it yet. Right? What you say about that? I mean, we see blatantly how he play around with the land from Recondev in Belmopan. What you got to say about that, Greg?
Mr. Chairman, he has stipulated that by the end of this week he will have a new board. But I want to show you, gentlemen, and the people at home and abroad, something from Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez is saying what he's saying because he gives out coupons. But he was exposed with his picture and the coupons by Channel 7. And there are only some special stores that the people can go to. But as you know, here on Belizean Affair, we always show and tell. So I want to play the tape in response to what you guys were speaking about and what he says, because I want to prove something tonight. Okay?
Go ahead, Greg.
I can speak to you from a business standpoint, right? I'm a businessman. I can speak to you that when it comes to managing a company or a corporation, you have to have in place whereby if your company is growing, let me tell you something, the national budget is growing, right? We have more payments to make. The Coast Guard has grown, the BDF has grown, my ministry is growing as well. So for me as a businessman, if I'm going to be engaging in my CEO, can I make any decisions on the threshold of $10,000? And everything has to go through us, and the payments are getting bigger, the increase of costs on just about everything. Then it's time for us to look at maybe the increase of the threshold from $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000, because it might very well turn out that these things, payments need to be made. I mean, you full of gas tank right now. No. You asked me for a comment. You asked me for a comment. You have a comment. I'm saying from a business standpoint, if there needs to be an increase, I'm not saying going to 50,000, but again, the CEOs to make the decisions. As it relates to abuse, that is speculation. But I'm saying as a business person, 10,000 is no. You full on gas tank now. You used to full on $100 for a gas tank. You full on gas tank for $300 now. So if you authorize somebody with a vehicle that you're going to put $100, you are forcing that person to put quarter tank or half tank. So as it relates to abuse, and so let's not get into comments for that or speculations.
I will tell you, gentlemen, why I played the tape and why he was responding like that. Mr. Perry wants to treat the taxpayers' money and what the government is doing as public-private. That is why he was talking about it as a businessman. They all have this public-private entity. And as I said, they always tell on themselves, because you cannot run taxpayers' money as a private entity that is paying for these things. That's why he tries to put it to a higher threshold. But when you do that, it's like saying I'm gonna run it as my private business. So when my driver or anybody needs anything, they don't have to come to me. It is shady, and that's why he was getting agitated. I go back to you.
So true or not, Mr. Morrison?
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes. Thank you. I keep harping on this because I believe sincerely that the manner in which they are running our government, the way they're using the funds, like you said, they're trying to look at public money and behaving like it's quasar private money. There's a different way of managing public money. It needs total transparency and accountability in this process. And the point I keep making, as I said, is that we cannot divorce the actions of government and how the lack of money and with it to do these things that government is required to do, how that leads to the violence that we see, how it leads to the neglect, how it leads to the deprivation of the society, and why we don't have medicine in the government pharmacy department, and why we don't have sheets, and why the BDF don't have proper booths, because if you can't buy the same quantity, if you're ending up paying $100 or $125 more than you can get them for in a competitive bidding process. So, and you just favor your buddy, your cousin, your friend, your party stalwart. These are the issues that are leading to, definitely these are the reasons that it's leading to why resources not available for government to do the job that it needs to do. And you know, the stealing that happens, as I mentioned before, goes at every level, and everyone steal at the level they can steal. You have the clerk doing a favor and taking a little bribe to move your number up so that you can be seen and get your passport the same day or next day, because he got 250 in his hand. Otherwise, you have to come back in 2 weeks, and you're not able to do that. You have the lands department taking some money to do something. We have the custom the custom department and officers taking a bribe to process your vehicle. We have the gun licensing department apparently taking some money to process that. You don't even have to show any real information, and even issuing some to criminals themselves. So a lot is going on. I was watching some information recently, and I don't know how solid it is, but it shows that the deputy commissioner of police in Guyana came to the United States and he got arrested. I don't know what the situation, or detained. I don't know if it's a full arrest. Detained. And I think as we are going through this, we need to be very cognizant that many of our leaders and heads of offices and department people will in this future find it very difficult to travel outside of Belize and into this country because they're watching. And we have had instances of where they have commented and letters have been sent to Congress people about actions in Belize and things that are harming, that potentially are harming our financial viability and our inflation and because of our passport and all these things. And they're going to have impact in big ways on how we are able to live about and how these people will be held accountable, not by our own government, then by others. Because it is serious, and the crime and the money they are taking is serious amount. I don't know how much of value we got for the 9.5 million that was given to the that was purchased through the Mira family grouping of companies. But I think we can best assess that the proper oversight to make us be comfortable that these things were done properly is not there. There was no such thing. And so we're faced with trying to come up with ways that makes it accountable. But let me just add one more thing, Mr. Brackett. I know you're anxious.
So,
But
no, sorry.
when these things happen at these low level, all these people are looking at what the top is doing.
Hmm.
And when the top people trying to scheme themselves into millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, the people down below, they get hungry too. They see that the system is broken for the big guys, and they are the one at the lever that could make it happen and make it broken for the $10,000 pass through on these things. You see, so it is a serious problem that we need to address. And I know we
Okay.
talked about the financial investigative unit. You know, we know that most of the time they act in political accordance,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so we need to make more independent some of these people that are required to provide the oversight. We need to do something about how the commissioner of police is appointed. It needs to be set up, I believe, that it's not just with the consent of the leader of the opposition, but also with their approval, so that we I'm sure that those people can agree on someone that's suitable and objective, and that they feel can carry out and exercise the laws of the country properly. I just one more thing. Sorry, I want to roll in just a little bit on Mr. August, because some people are asking why didn't the commissioner or the police department look into it before they brought the charges and stuff? And my question is, doesn't the police department have lawyers on staff or that they can consult to make sure that if they're doing something like this, there was no hurry and rush to do what they did. But no, I think they were acting with some deliberate and urgency to satisfy a political concern, and it and it shows from what the DPP said that proper if they had made proper consultation, or if it wasn't politically motivated, they would have exercised more care after consultation in moving forward with their actions. So thank
Yes.
you, and back to you, Mr.
Well said there, Mr. Morrison. Leonard, go ahead, Leonard. You got
Um,
4 minutes.
I'll try to address or comment a little bit on the last point Mr. Morrison made, but I
Mm-hmm.
initially wanted to comment on the issue with the gentleman out at the key, no? Mr.
Perez.
Perez.
Perez died.
Um, Let me go back to the last statement and piggyback on Mr. Morrison's statement. That is to say, the issue of those people doing what they're doing is because they are being exculpated from the highest level. The people at the highest level are the ones that having the people at the lower level do things for them, and the people at the lower levels know what they're doing that is wrong because they know what their job is as compared to what is it that these other people are asking them to do. Okay, to reduce these payments and make these payments viable. The bottom line is that if these people were supposed to be doing their job correctly, then we wouldn't have a problem where Mr. Mira ends up having so many of his one family member involved in so many different shady government contracts, when in fact they could have gotten those very same contracts legitimately. And as Belizeans, they are entitled to any kind of job, whether it's private or public jobs. But the problem is the onerous way in which they go about acquiring these contracts with the aid and support of government policies or government, they're hiding behind government authority and powers that they're suborning other people with so that they can get to cream the money out of the coffers, the government coffers. As regards to this, which also is the same point with Mr. Perez, that is that he gets a subvention from the government for his constituents on a regular basis. They have a thing where they have some money made with his image on the money, claiming to be like a
Coupon.
private venture, a coupon as a private venture that those coupons can be used to replace money or instead of money, and they give these coupon out to their favorite individuals or colleagues or people who are members of their party, but not necessarily just because they are members of their constituents. Okay, because there are other members of their constituents who are not members of their party, who these constituency funds as a public fund supposed to be able to reach, but it never gets to them because they don't get any of these coupons, so they can go and buy at Mr. Perez' sister grocery, which is the only place that accept the coupons. So only there, the people that they give these coupons to, who are their favorite political people, can benefit from that fund. And this public fund and other people should be able to benefit. Now, I can recall that in the past, under my foundation, we used to have agreements with different stores around Belize City where I would cut certain vouchers on my laptop and give the walk around town and give these vouchers to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. I didn't ask none of those people their political affiliation or their church affiliation or any other organizational affiliation. It's just a means for us to be able to extend a little helping hand to just about anybody that we thought needed that helping hand or would like to accept it. A lot of people used to ask, well, what is this about? Is this about politics or is this about religion or is this about, whatever? And it had nothing to do with any of that. So yes, we used to give out our coupon, which is what these people are attempting to do, give out their coupon. But we never used to put our faces on the coupon. Okay?
That means vote for Mr. Perez.
That wasn't public money. So the public money should go the same way how the private money does, as a minimum. That is, you give it out across the board. That's what the fund is there for, is given for them to be able to use as politicians in their area. But they want to be able to control these funds because only they can redeem those coupons and only they get to have that money.
Thank you, Leonard. Time. Greg, go ahead, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to go to a tip from the Prime Minister. I want to go to the tip because I want to explain to people at home and you guys here, virtually with me, the process of procurement.
Under this central procurement unit, vendors are going to be identified that who meet the qualifications to be able to provide these computers. So then whenever a ministry wants to buy, they go through that portal and then be able to buy from the companies that have already been certified. And so whatever reduction that they give, then it's the government of Belize that's going to be getting that. So that is just one instance. And there are different layers of reporting. There's going to be a unit or a committee that sets the rules, then a committee that reviews what is taking place, and then a third one that will be then doing the actual auditing that everything is going to be run. It is going to be a game changer in the way government procures its goods and services. And it has nothing to do with what is happening right now, but it only strengthens the idea that we have to do things better, we have to do it more transparently, and we have to do it more openly.
I want to say this. I can tell you, the people at home and abroad, and you gentlemen sitting with me, that I have worked on a contract for a friend of mine who supplies both the BDF Coast Guard with rations. In fact, he owned the meat shop and he do the meat including fish, etc. and vegetables. What happens? You put in a bid and the bid goes to the lowest bidder. You pay, you pick up the brochure and then you start to supply them. I want to say anyone can hustle in it because this is what happened. I had phone numbers to buy the cabbage by the 100 pound unit. I bought the tomato by the bucket that we used to supply. And when we do these supplies, anything that was not genuine was turned back and we had to replace it. And I want to also stipulate this. What is happening now had never happened in our time when we were supplying to them. I will tell you why. They used to pay monthly in the bank account. And sometimes they are late doing that the vendor has to come up with extra money to go buy the produce and the supply. But I'm telling you this to say what happens is this. If I have an order for tomato and I have my contact who is telling me the tomato price per bucket is $13 per bucket and I need 100 buckets. But I have my contact who sell me $10 a bucket. I'm saving $300 right there. So then I turn around and I price it to the government, not only for the $13, but above that to make the extra money. So I'm winning in both directions. And this is what is happening in everything that they order. Because when you buy it in bulk, you get it at the cost price, as the Prime Minister was speaking about NHI how they buy medicine. So he knows exactly what I'm speaking about. You get it in cost price, and then you use leverage to add on more. And that is what is happening within these allegations.
But
So
Wow.
what the
it's
Prime Minister is
nothing
saying
new. That is
also
what is
is
happening,
this new
people at
scheme that
home and abroad.
they want to put on a new scheme now where they don't have to abide by the rules and regulations and the tendering process that we have had established before, which was which was good. They want now to implement a different system where the minister will have the last say in terms of deciding
But
what is and what is.
regardless,
No,
regardless of
Yeah,
that, Mr. Brackett, the point I'm getting at, you could not pay more than you're supposed to pay because it was paid monthly. So when they came up with that smart scheme, doing all these payments back to back on certain days, that right there can tell you something is off. Because back when I did it for my friend, they paid every month monthly, and sometimes they were late.
because there was no cash flow in the
And you know
system.
what happened? They took the contract away from him, and all of a sudden it started to go to people that had ties. Because
you
when
know,
we were doing it, there were 30 other individuals that bid low. It always goes to the low bidders. That
you
was
know,
how it was set up.
when I
Thank
was a
you.
young man, when I was a young man in Belize, my dad had couple of different contracts for the police school and the police department on the he had one contract that he had had for so many years because he was a bicycle repairman. And if you know, in the history of things,
Hmm.
bicycle was our mode of transportation. So
Right.
sometimes they would bring 10 bicycles for him. Two truckloads come, 10, 20 bicycles. And then he's supposed to fix and repair these. And he had a contract with that and he gets a monthly payment. But also, we had a fish and vegetable shop, and so we would get contracts from the police the training school, where they would come and they would buy tomato, cabbage, and all the vegetables they need. It wasn't a consistent thing, but they would come in, they would say we want to have, they would let him know in advance, so he would go and he would get it and have it all boxed up and ready for them when they come. And the truth is, like you said, Mr. Brackett, they would come and pay you once a month. Once a month, they would come and bring a voucher that he has to take to the Treasury Department to get his funds. It for us as a small little business that we was, it created a lot of strain because we were a 2 cents kind of shop, because their wholesale when they come would probably be $150, $200. But for us, that's a big sale because most people that's coming and spending money at our shop was spending $5. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't a whole lot of money. So when we get a sale for $200 to supply them um, the vegetables, it was a big sale for us, but it did take a while to come to it. And
Yes.
then when I was a
Mr.
young
Morrison,
man, my last job,
I have 6 more minutes, Mr. Morrison. And
just one
it's
minute.
5 now. So I give you one, and then we go
Okay,
one around. Go ahead. 1 minute.
okay, yeah. And the last job I had before I came to the United States was I was the statistical clerk for the Belize Electricity Board at the time. And what what we did in terms of managing the stores was that they would issue a requisition to make the purchase of the things they need to install the electrical infrastructure for pole, whether it's a pole, whether it's the wire, harnesses, the cable, everything was issued on a requisition. And then every 6 months I go to those district areas and compare the reconcile the balance that should be in their stored against what they had requisitioned. So there's a process, and we have those process well ingrained, but we
Yeah.
keep
Thank.
violating it for politics and greed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well said, Mr. Morrison. Leonard, 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Mr.
well
Brackett,
said.
can we do 140 tonight or 145? Can we extend time
I
for
don't
at
know about
least?
the time that, but we only have 4 more minutes right here right
Can
now.
we extend at least 15 minutes?
I guess that we, in the interest of what we're talking about, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to. So I'll yield to
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Proceed,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, I'll take the 1 minute now, Mr. Chairman, as you had indicated.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that on the last step that Mr. Gregory Brackett played, the Prime Minister was stipulating that they are going to put together these different committees or groups or whatever, all in the interest of making a bad situation worse. Because all those individuals and groups that he's going to appoint will be just like the board of the different entities that he is currently responsible for, that are suborned to his directive and wishes, and they're going to they serve at his pleasure. So they will continue doing what's been happening in the country. Everybody serves at his pleasure, and everybody is committing crimes and being scamish and scoundrels, and nothing will change. It will just get worse. What we want is betterment. What we want is for them to honor the existing rules and regulations that have gotten us this far without the hanky panky going on. That's all we're asking for. I yield back, sir.
Thank you, Greg.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say this to the people at home and abroad because taxpayers are losing millions of dollars where there's other ways around what is happening in procurement or purchase. And I personally can say this. For one, why is it then that we have farmers who have onions piling in the farm? We have other farmers that have produce piling in the farm when the government can simply pay these farmers to plant for the forces. The same way with procurement. When you put in a tender, the government can say, okay, I will pay you 4,000 or 3,000 a month to supply this, and you bid in your tender. You will have to be the one to see how you can make that supply and make your profit without going over the amount. But that is not what they're doing when they have it open tender. That is why we have this issue. Until we start doing that, we will continue to have these problems. Because when I did it for my friends, why would you take away a tender from someone who owns a meat shop, who is delivering to you beef, pork, he's delivering ground steak, ground beef, and other meat. Then he's also doing the vegetable, fruit. papaya, watermelon. I can call them off the top of my head, and you take the tender away. So now you have contracts with individuals that don't even have a meat store. So this is how they are gaining money. They go buy from the butcher, bring it to your place of business, and then they sell it to you when you can buy cut the third party. You can buy rice strictly from the rice company. The BDF have trucks. They used to come to the store and pick up the produce. So they definitely can buy the beans and the rice from these places and pick it up at a lower rate. So that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you. You see,
to add to what Greg was saying, not only are they buying it from third and fourth party and then put it together and sell it to the government at a much higher markup price, they're also undercutting the local Belizean farmers because they're not buying the local produce from local small producers. They're bringing in truckloads of these items from across the border, okay, where they go and they buy these things at a much reduced price, and then they come over and then they sell it to the government at a higher price and turn around, and make a higher profit. It's all about profiteering. They corner the market because they have political influence. They are the only one giving contracts to buy things. As I remember, there was a case where you had people with onions, people with sweet potato, Irish potato. You had people with carrots. They feel instead of the government buy those things, they give contracts to other people to go and bring in the stuff from neighboring countries and leave the local farmers then, you know, with their stuff rotting in the field. That's crazy. That's not national development. That's allowing the money to flow out of the country. Guatemala was getting like $150 million out of Belize in commerce, and Belize was getting like between $10 and $15 million in commerce out of Guatemala. How long can we sustain that with that type of foreign exchange inequality? You know, and I can speak to a lot more of those very same situation. But at the end of the day, we need to have people who are going to be decent minded, honest, and nationalistic, not only in their idea of politics, but in their idea of moving the country forward. That's our problem. I yield back, sir.
thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah.
Back to you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Thank you. Very good point, Mr. Leonard Brackett. Until we as a people start holding the government accountable, we're not going to get anywhere. I I I I am not opposed to the approach that as the Prime Minister had presented it, where they will have a central database of making all their purchase needs known, and then there are people that are
Unmute
already
your mic there a
qualified,
little bit, Greg, please. Yeah, yeah. Go
and
ahead,
then
Mr.
there
Morrison.
And then there are people that are already qualified to supply these goods, and that they will tap those individuals in a rotation, and that there'll be an allotment of positions to be supplied by small businesses, like Mr. Leonard Brackett was saying. And I think they were going to allow that this threshold would be at least 20%. So I'm not opposed to something like that. I think that with the technology that's coming on, and with the opportunity to diversify and to bring more people in, and if we could set up this system to be transparent, and if they can set the, because if you're a small business, like I told you how my father stretched his business to try, and he's selling $200, but he got to wait for a month to get it. You know, so
Yeah.
if there are ways, now it would be thousands of dollars, right? But if there are ways, because that time cabbage was 10 cents and 12 cents a pound, But now, these things are 50 cents and 75 cents and dollar a pound. So,
You talk
so
about the you talk about the ancient days, Mr. Morrison.
I am sure I am, and that's
Anyway,
why I went.
guys,
That's
always,
why I went.
Mr. Morrison, we have a lot to cover and so little time.
We still have time, Mr. Wade, because I want to play a tape
Okay, go ahead,
and I
Greg.
want us
Can we
to
have five
discuss
more
it.
minutes? Yeah,
It's
5 more minutes.
important, but Mr. Morrison,
Yes,
as
go
I said
ahead.
before, there is a way around what is happening with Belizean taxpayers because the government simply could have built a bodega and he could have created long-term jobs by having people inside with traffic and have farmers come there and sell their produce only, only for the armed forces. And farmers would not have to go to the local market. They take their produce straight to the bodega. That would be onion,
The marketing board,
potato.
Bodega
Exactly,
Marketing Board.
exactly.
Remember that, Leonard? Remember that, Mr.
It, it,
Morrison? Marketing board.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Well, it was
but
it was the
That would
Mennonites
help
that
the small
destroyed our
farmers.
marketing board.
my
Yeah,
farmers.
it was. It was the Mennonites that destroyed our marketing board, and they didn't do it alone. The government and the
With the
ministers
assistance of the government, yeah.
but they
allowed the
can do
greed to
that.
perpetrate.
But
So there's a
As
lot of
Gregory
money to save.
as Mr.
Greg,
Gregory got,
I'm glad that you bring that up, Greg. I'm glad because
It's a
that
fact
was
though, Mr.
something that
Chairman.
had really worked,
it
Mr.
can still
Morrison
work. It
and
can still
Leonard.
work. It can
It
still
had
work, Mr.
really
Chairman.
worked for the small farmers for decades, right? And all of a sudden, see what happened,
Well,
But
right?
the problem is that it
it
won't
worked for like 50 years before they destroyed it.
it work when we have people of goodwill. But
Yes,
it
sir.
wouldn't work now because the very same ones them that are controlling the system now in the procurement will try to grab a hold of anything that because anything that makes a little money these guys want to control.
Exactly.
It's not about helping the small
Exactly.
farmers. It's not about helping the
Right.
Exactly.
it's not about it's
That
not
would make the economy turn. Farmers
Exactly.
would not be struggling. They would not
Exactly.
have to go get loans because they would be sure there would be a sure guarantee their product would sell to government who then is supplying the armed forces. But gentlemen, as I say, let me go to the tape because
Quickly,
I
Greg, yeah.
want to hear you guys' opinion on this. It's really important because I knew this was coming.
I support that. And I've said it over and over that, okay, let's start with the cyberbullying law. It's a cyberbullying law that was passed by the previous government. And it provides for the action that's been taken place. I asked the Attorney General to take a look at it, and he thinks that it is unconstitutional. So quite likely, hopefully, at the next House meeting, we'll have to make some amendments to that. So let's start with that. Secondly, I did ask the minister to have the DPP to take a look at it to see if there's a case or not. She decided that there's not a case. Thirdly, I'd like to make it very clear that we need to be careful as politicians that I don't think that the public have a problem if a politician were to sue anybody because they believe that they have been aggrieved or they've been slandered. But I think the public would have a problem when they would feel that the minister is using the state to go after its enemies. Now, I am not in any way suggesting that.
I want to stop it there because that is exactly what happened, and he's trying to turn the cyberbullying law as being unconstitutional when it is not. It says exactly what it's supposed to say. But I want to prove him wrong tonight because I want to show people how they speak out of context. What Mr. Mira did is not because of cyberbullying. He took the law. Do you guys remember the common assault law?
Mm-hmm.
and he took it from the common assault and used it as cyberbullying. Here is the tape.
Madam President, the NTUCB has a few concerns regarding this bill before us. And while, as everyone has said, I support the comments made by my colleagues, we feel that we are moving away somewhat from using or requiring proof for some of these things when we are looking at, for example, you can be held accountable if I hear that you say something or you say a bad word, as we call it, just by those persons, indicating that they heard me say these things. That can be problematic for me as an individual. That is the view of the NTUCB in terms of reviewing this bill before us, and we feel that while we understand the purpose of the bill, and while it is that we want to ensure that we are not encouraging our citizens, threatening others and doing all of these sorts of things, we have to be very careful that putting this portion in here is not going to affect people's right in terms of your right to freedom of speech. And that's a huge concern for us that we share as it relates to this bill. Again, Madam President, we do understand that we want to have a society that is disciplined, that has certain behavior, but there's a thin line here when we include these words such as, whether directly or within hearing, that may create mischief. Because, for example, we were discussing that, let's say, for example, a police officer were to, hold you for something, in the process of arresting you for something, and maybe somebody else is shouting at you or telling you something while you are being transported, and, you may utter profanity, might not be to the officer or about the officer, but it might be just that you're speaking to the other person who might be around. The NTUCB feels that can create some unnecessary issues, and so I think, again, the essence of what is here is supported. However, I think that this portion of this bill will create some issues in terms of people's freedom and people's rights. And so I don't know how we can look at that. In relation to the categories listed, yes, we do support those. I'm not sure about the elected official, because that's another matter again. How we view that and what it is that we are trying to, is it that we can no longer say certain things to elected officials, when we feel that they are not doing what they ought to be doing, because you have to be very careful what you say and how you say things, because you can be in trouble as well, right? And it's not just, we're going to be charged something, right? It's conviction to imprisonment for 3 years. So as union leaders, we all know that we are often in this back and forth, especially with government officials. And sometimes things do get heated. And if it is that, with Tada Miss Smith and Tada Miss Smith, they put me to shame, and Miss Smith putting things out there about us as a union leader, we'll deal with her now to utter these words. And I heard you say these things, so let's go. 3 years imprisonment, you can't do any more union function. So those are the concerns that we have. And
So there you go, gentlemen. He is taking it from the common assault bill and using it in pretext as cyberbullying.
We could
discuss
on that. We could discuss on that on next
Mr.
show.
Chairman?
But yes.
Mr. Chairman, can I get 1 minute on that
Yes.
part?
Okay.
Okay.
Quickly.
There's 2 different laws there that we're talking about. In both instances of those two laws, those laws do not comport to the requirements of our constitution, and therefore it is those laws are overbearing. They're wide cast of nets with a lot of googly words in there that could extend far beyond what the law is stipulated to have been about in the first place. But because they are so expansive and violative of the Constitution, and the Constitution says, therefore, they're supposed to be considered as being null and void. If they want to make a law that is consistent with the Constitution, there's no problem. They can go ahead and make that. They are authorized to do that. Make laws within the bounds of the Constitution.
Amen.
They're not authorized to make laws to violate the Constitution, because the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. But these jackals want to make laws, and because they make it, they pass it with their majority or super majority or whatever majority they want to pass it with. They want to claim that they are authorized to violate the Constitution, and that is not correct.
Not correct.
Therefore, those laws that are not properly made are to be deemed as unconstitutional, unlawful, and illegal.
Null and void.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Morrison, we're far over the time. I give you 2 minutes and you close us out, please. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad Mr. Gregory Brackett played that tape, because that was the one I was referring to. You know, and I'm glad also that PM spoke on it in that vague way that he did, but with still some detail. And I'm glad that the DPP decided that in the instance of the case that we're trying to form up against Mr. August, we see that there is no case there, because it was just speech. Then that if you feel in some degree that you were harmed, there is a vehicle, and that is the civil court. That's the civil court
not to use the police as a criminal bunch of gangsters to commit crimes against the man and go to the man's house, harass the man's family.
Mr. Morrison, and close us out.
Yeah. So I'm glad we were able to play that tape and get that result, because the manner in which the police and the commission and all of them was a total misappropriation of law. And definitely that law needs to be revisited, because it does show that can be easily be breached and violate the constitutional rights of individuals. So with that, I want to say thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you out there to the public that joins us 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we share these ideas on what our thoughts are and what we know the laws are, and we try to bring into adjustment where we see failures in the way the law is being employed and activated. And we encourage you to be alert and to be participants in our democracy and our government. So thank you.
Close out thoughts for the panelists. Close out thoughts for the panelists. Pat yourself on the back. Recognize that your contribution to this particular platform and other platforms is making a difference in terms of holding these guys to account, because they're the elected leaders, but we are at least advocating on behalf of the people so that these guys don't think that they're getting an easy ride without any accountability, being demanded. We may not always get them to do what's right, but at least as of today, in this particular instance, we were successful in embarrassing them enough to the point where they had to pull back. Kudos to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Greg? Take it away, Greg.
I want to say thanks to the panelists sitting here with me virtually tonight. I think you guys bring to the table much needed information. And it's always a pleasure sitting with you guys.
Thank you, Greg. Go ahead.
I want to say good night to you, people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning into this, the 456th episode of BELIZAN Affairs. And I want to also thank those of you who will watch the program at a later time, and we will be back this Friday discussing constitutional affairs. With that said, I want to say good night. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.